normal because it's not a bad thing. We all have debts. You've owed somebody, you've owed a bank, you've owed your friends. And sometimes the reason you take debt is what matters most. So debt is not a bad thing, and it's really not very possible for a low-income country like Kenya with an ambition to become a middle-income country in another 8 years to do that without borrowing. Mm-hmm. So I would not take such a headline very seriously. I think it's just convoluted with whatever we've seen happening with the money that we borrow. I think that should actually be the concern. What is it that we're going to do with this? Mm-hmm. But 250 billion in our capacity as a country is very little money to borrow. What is it that we want to do with it? And I think Kenyans' concerns are only that they haven't seen a lot of value in the past borrowings. And maybe that's why they're questioning, what is it that we want to do with this? But I can assure you that we cannot become a middle-income country in 2030 without some of the projects requiring that we have to borrow. Mm-hmm. We have capacity as a country to get that 250 billion locally, and even within the government coffers. If we control what the president once said is a 2 billion loss every day, which comes to 700 billion a year. So if you think of controlling, putting a noose on corruption, on wastages, and roping in more Kenyans to pay tax, you would realize another 300. There's some 1 trillion, just about 1 trillion. If you put a noose on corruption, avoid tax evasion, you also put a noose on tax evasion, you can easily realize another 300 billion. So 250 billion to me on a headline, I think we have better headlines.
Right. George, I'll come to you on this as well. As a person in the business space, of course, you're keenly following, the news to see how things are panning out. Sure. And the issue of debt has been spoken about for a while. Yeah. What's your feeling on how it's affecting your business? You're in real estate, you're in what is the big four right now. Yeah, sure. How is debt playing into that particular sector as well?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, thank you very much. And I will concur with my colleague that debt is not necessarily a bad thing. But how that money is spent is what now should matter. What now we should be calling upon is transparency and accountability for that money. Because we have seen in the past, we have seen in the past, we have taken Eurobond, we have taken other money that was to go in a certain project. And later on, we had complaints that the money was not channeled in the intended use. So now the question should be, this money that we want to borrow, yes, it is good, we have gotten that, it is now in the public domain, which is very good, because we need to have all this information. And now we need to go the extra mile. Yes, we have gotten this money, now it is here with us. This money, the use that we intend to use is for this purpose. We follow up to the last minute, was the money so should be involved as the public. The public should be involved. This money, we want to do this and this, and it is for the benefit of the country, because at the end of the day, all this money, all the money that is in the public is money that is for the benefit of Kenyans. And if it is a loan, this is a loan that we as Kenyans are going to repay again. So we need to understand from start. We need this project. Is it? Do we agree? Yes. We need to get some money from elsewhere because we do not have it locally, or to avoid getting all the money out of the liquidity, making the market not liquid, because we know again when the government borrows locally, it also has a negative impact on the business, because you will find that businesses are not able to get loans from the banks. Yeah, so we need to understand. Then at the end of the day, there are answers. Was it worth it? Next time, should we go for another one? If it is not viable, then we do not go that route of borrowing. If it is something that can wait, maybe it's a project that is not so urgent, it can wait. Yes, we can say, let us wait, let us collect our taxes, let's have some savings, then we go into the project. But if it is an emergency and we all agree, yes, we can go to that route, then that money is accounted to the last coin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Victor, when we talk about it, because we've come to the issue of debt, we've spoken about it, but clearly every election year, it's tricky for businesses navigating for those odd 10 months in that particular space. For you as an alliance, what are the key indicators you're looking at for this year, other than peace? Because everybody talks about peace. That is the bedrock of anything else. Other than that, what are the indicators you're looking at to see how business fares 2022?
I think we've been treated to several election years that are muddled with lack of peace, with security. Generally, the moment you feel insecure, there's really nothing you can do much. So we've had cycles of elections, and we know what has happened. And every election year, the following year, you find that economy dips because people are holding back investments, people are cutting down jobs. Basically, the whole economy and its citizens are just, on a wait and see what will happen. But something happened in 2013, which I think Kenyans need to, look at and refer to. That's one of the first election years that where we had election. I think it was in March 2013. And when the budget was being read that same year, the economy actually grew, right, for the first time. And maybe we need to look at what is it that we did differently at that time. I think, again, in 2017, we saw a similar growth. So we've had almost like 19, 20 years of experience where, yes, we are politicking, but there's a sense in which, businesses, Kenyans are beginning to appreciate the importance of this. They're beginning to appreciate the importance of involving themselves in electing the right leaders. And as an alliance, we did something that I think was very commendable. We developed a campaign initiated by the private sector, but it brings in all the stakeholders, called Mkenya Daima. Mkenya Daima is a Swahili terminology meaning a Kenyan forever. This is my country. This country, I don't have any other country. It's my responsibility as a citizen, therefore, to elect effective leaders, to elect leaders who would sign up to peace accords, leaders who would commit, so that we begin to separate politics from business. There are countries where if you go on an election day, you not even know that elections are happening, all right? And that's what we are driving to, not where like we've had in this country and many other African countries. It's too much of a hot day on that particular day. No business is open because you do not, and I think that they remain closed for as long as the results have not been announced, and then they wait and see what's the reaction. We do not want to be in such a situation. And so in 2013, the year preceding that, we ramped up a lot of campaigns, bringing in the religious community, the students, musicians, and we borrowed a song from Wesonga. He actually lent it to the campaign, Kenya Daima, Twajivunia Kenya. So, and it became a hit, and it started to resonate with people, knowing that they have a responsibility. So it's your duty to elect the rightful leaders. And again, politicians need to know that they're actually seeking, they're applying for jobs, right? And the voters are actually the stakeholders of this Kenya Incorporation, who are interviewing them and picking the best. So what we want to drill into the mindset of Kenyans is to know that they have rights, but those rights have responsibilities. Their responsibility is to come out and keep this country safe. Their responsibility is to come out and elect the right leaders. Do not elect charlatans. Avoid tribal bigotry, that this is our person. Please, for heaven's sake, after that election has happened, the price of unga is the same for everybody. We all need roads. So get on and elect the right leaders who will keep your resources safe and will utilize the little revenue we have for greater good of everybody. Right? Yeah, so that's actually the reason why in 2013 we saw an economy that grew on an election year. Same to 2017. We saw a few clashes here and there, but did not interfere much with the economy. And I think even the handshake following that in March 2018, and we began to see, businesses settling, having confidence to invest, rather than investing in a 5-year window. You'd see some investors now taking a 10-year plan because they have experience in 2013 to borrow from, to say that, okay, we don't need to be on a wait and see every 3, 4, 5 years. We can actually take a long shot of 10 years and do these investments because we are guaranteed for safety of our investments.
Okay.
Yes.
George, as someone who's also looking at 2022 as a business and also planning the business moving forward, what are the numbers looking like as you forecast for 2022? When you see the orders being made, those intending and committing to buy, how is it looking when you do a forecast for 2022 compared to the year before?
Yeah. Thank you very much. If you compare the state at which we are at during this year of election, it is very different from the previous years, because you will find that in the previous years, by a time like this, people had already started going back into their tribal cocoons. You would find that at this sitting next to, is he my tribe? Who is interviewing me? Is he from my tribe? You will find that during election period, we were drawn into our tribal cocoons, such that we became like we are not thinking on our own. But you will find that with the time, and Kenya is becoming of age, because like right now, the politics that we are talking about is who is going to help us be able to move economically from point A to point B. We are not, like you'll be surprised, for example, let's say the Kikuyu. It is very difficult if you look at the previous years, Kikuyus not having their own presidential candidate, and they are okay with that. That is something that was unthought of. But now we do not have a Kikuyu who is running for the highest office, and we as Kikuyus are very comfortable. We are okay, and what we are looking at is who will have our best interest at heart. That is only what we are looking at. Previously, we used to know that it has to be our man. Our man is the one who is going to protect us. But now people, for sure, they have started to check who is going to give us an enabling environment, business working environment, whereby we can be able to invest in any part of the country. We can be able to go to anywhere at ease, with freedom, without any restrictions. And for sure, that is something that is very positive. You'll be surprised that in the previous years, sometimes back, even coming to Nairobi, you had to be given a permit to come and work in Nairobi, which is your own country. But nowadays, you are in Nairobi, it doesn't matter where you are coming from, you are a Nairobian. And that is now something that should be taken, actually, with devolution, all the way to the counties. We should now be able to be encouraged by, actually now, people like the governors. Governors should be welcoming. They should be very warm, welcome other people, diversity in the devolution in the counties, and that is how we are going actually to grow our economy. We are looking at Vision 2030, and that is coming very soon. We are almost there, and it is high time. These few remaining years, now everybody is talking about Vision 2030. It is something that was actually, I think, a reserve of a very few people. But now Vision 2030 is something that now we are talking, all of us. And it is high time for the few remaining years. We hold hands, we understand. So far, where are we? What is remaining? And when we have that debate, generally as a country, we are going to get people more involved. More people will want to contribute. That is in terms of taxes. There will be no tax evasions. People will want to understand how are we going to move there. And when we do that, we are going to find that even people who are in the diaspora, they want to grow our country, because at the end of the day, we know our country, whether you are out of the country, whether you are here, east or west, home is the best. So we want to grow our country, and for sure, we know the best way to do it is to start discussing things that matter, and that is economical growth.
Okay.
Vision 2030. We need to move all of us together. We're involved in coming up with them.
Okay, we're having a couple of minutes as we get to the end of this as well. But Victor, I want to come to you because we've seen various politicians meeting what they call business communities in Nairobi and different regions.
Yeah.
As an alliance, has the alliance actively engaged in getting these politicians as well, and also putting their claims, because the politicians will come along with all of these promises, but as you said, whether they win or not, the business still continues. Has the alliance tried to get these particular politicians and also let them understand what, as a private sector, they want, either way the election goes?
Thanks a lot, Jeff, for that. I don't know, you probably would recall several years in the previous two elections, starting in 2013, we had a conversation going to get Kenyans understanding what their responsibility is, and to look at the manifestos of the different parties that are seeking, the presidential election, and that then moves